sisters, it's Jake here, and I'm back with another video. Subscribe, I'm trying to get to 200,000 subscribers before the month of January. Thank you so much. It Happens. You may be wondering what It Happens is. Now, It Happens is a YouTube channel with 34,000 subscribers that posts some content that I've literally never seen in my entire life. I was locked up with a crush. I work at my ex's house. My boyfriend constantly steals my underwear. Their whole claim is that they make true stories animated. If you have any exciting real life stories you'd like to share, send it to their email. They've got about 5 million views total. And today we're going to be watching one of their most popular ones. Today we're going to be checking out how farting saved me from a cannibal, my personal story, It Happens.
This story was submitted by our subscriber, Anime Wolf Girl 0111. Here's what she—
Oh, that's her username. No, that's good. Yeah. Anime Wolf Girl 0111. Holy shit. Like applying for a job. Yeah, just email me back at my email. I can just write it down. No. You can just say it out loud. No, I can just write it down. Okay, it's Anime Wolf Girl 0111.
Hi there, my name is Zoe, and I'm a subscriber to the channel.
Hi, Anime.
So, it happens, I suddenly felt like sharing a story from my distant childhood. How long have you been subscribed here? If not, it's easy to fix. You just need—
Wait, hold up. I want to tell a story from my distant childhood. Okay. How distant is your childhood, first of all, and what makes it a distant childhood? And also, this subscriber of yours also said, hey, don't forget to subscribe to my favorite channel. Or did you just add that in as a promo?
The bell, and then you'll see the funniest stories. And who knows, maybe your story will end up here too.
I hope so.
When I was about 5, my parents and I lived on a farm. I was terribly bored there. I had to entertain myself somehow. I remember my parents were working, planting vegetables.
Planting vegetables, Little Home on the Prairie type beat. Just this animation style reminds me of, like, this is an animated presentation at a business meeting in a Hyatt.
And I was interested in everything, but they wouldn't let me do much. They said I could ruin everything. Made me walk on the path, and it was so narrow that I often lost my balance and fell down.
Then don't go on the path. I grew up on a farm as well. That's actually not a joke. I did grow up on a farm. And I know the paths, you have to get away from the seeds. I understand it. They made the path too small. They were trying to like save space and like profit more off their farm, which is already a dying business, but it's fine.
And then one day my father and mother were planting something. I saw beautiful flowers. My parents were a few meters away from me. I decided to please my mother and I picked a few bunches and then another and another. I thought you would be so—
So you're dumb. So my parents, they actually own a farm. And I picked all of their crops and then gave them to them before they were ready.
So I made a huge bouquet and brought it to her with a satisfied look. And my mom was like, "Daughter, those are our onions." I turned around and saw that I'd plucked everything they'd grown. It was quite a fiasco.
I bet.
I was grounded and left in my room, but I was so bored. The minutes went on forever, and then my new friend, his name was Tony, came to see me. He was a bully, but he—
Wait, what? How did you have a friend over while you were grounded? What kind of privilege did you live in? Also, Tony is a bully, has my body type, and has an Illuminati shirt? What is this?
was fun to be around with. We sat on the porch chatting about clouds, and then I heard a gurgling sound in my stomach.
Wait,
Tony—
what's up with his— Wait, what happened to his body? So his butt's here. Okay, no, it's fine. I was just
asked
curious
if I had anything to eat. I ran to the kitchen and pulled out some bread. Tony said it wasn't good and then ran off somewhere. I waited for him for a very long time, and suddenly he comes in with a huge loaf in his hands. I picked it up, and it was so warm and crispy.
It looks just like the one that she had. And how did he get that loaf? It was warm and crispy. How did you get that warm? I'm asking for a friend.
It was amazing. I didn't know where he got it from, but I didn't really care.
He stole it.
The two of us sat down and ate the loaf, savoring it slowly.
How does this relate to how farting saved me from a cannibal, my personal story, It Happens?
Didn't need to add anything to the bread. It was so good.
Okay.
The next day, Tony offered to eat the loaf again. And again, he brought the freshly baked bread. When we ate, I asked him where he got it from. He took my hand, and we walked across the field.
Gretel.
I came across Mrs. Hardy's old house.
Wait.
Oh no, what are we doing here?
Wait, so this is just a fake story that I fell for. So the clickbait worked. Interesting.
I asked my friend, and he said, "You wanted to know where I got my bread from?" I froze in horror.
Yeah, what the
because
heck?
Mrs. Hardy was not just an old lady.
Seriously.
She was a cannibal. It was rumored in our village that she once had 3 grandchildren, John, Mary, and Martin. She used to chase the children around the house. They did all the work, cleaning, washing, even cooking. And after all the children were the same age as us, I heard from the neighborhood children that John once cleaned the cooker and spilled ash.
Wait. What was just blurred there? They blurred something pretty poorly. What is that? It's an axe. This lady's got an axe in her hand. Good.
Once cleaned the cooker and spilled ashes on the floor on Granny's favorite carpet. So she cut his hands off and hid him in the cellar. And when Mary was making soup, she oversalted it, for which she was shaved bald.
To me, I believe that there's a little bit of favoritism. You shaved someone's head bald for a mistake, but for another mistake, you chop off their hands.
We were all afraid of Mrs. Hardy,
I bet.
And nobody went near her house because they knew how it might end. And Tony was new, had only just arrived, and hadn't heard anything about it yet. I wanted to tell him, but he'd already run inside the house.
No,
Tony! Mrs. Hardy will be back soon.
True.
She doesn't leave the house for long. Tony!
Tony!
I shouted. Out of fear, I ran back home. At first, I wanted to tell my parents, but if they found out where we were, they would punish me.
Good. They'd probably like chop off your hands or something. Also, what are all these little scribbles in the background? Like, what is that? And then is she plotting a murder up here? Or solving a murder?
I walked from corner to corner, and then, just as I imagined what could happen, the old granny comes back into the house.
She doesn't look very old. I'm gonna be honest, the only old feature about her is the hair. What's considered old to this YouTube channel?
And sees Tony eating her buns. And then she grabs him and roasts him for dinner. What? Oh no, she's gonna eat him like her grandchildren. What? That's why they haven't been seen for years. I had to do something.
This was her just assuming? That was interesting. Like, you just assumed that she was going to roast him and then went with it in the story.
I took a breath, found my father's helmet that was lying around in our house,
as you do,
tied it very tightly around my chin, grabbed the biggest stick in the shed, and went to Mrs. Hart.
She was like, interesting, because my dad actually doesn't work in construction. He's actually a nurse, so I don't know why he has a helmet and a stick ready in the shed.
My heart was beating harder than usual. My knees were weak, and my palms were sweating, and
knees weak, arms are heavy. Eminem, if you will. I was going to say she looks like the girl from Brave if Brave was animated by like a middle school computer teacher.
The stick was heavy, but I'd already come up with a plan to
save
my friend.
It's right
I
there.
watched the house from behind the bushes. There was no one there. So quietly, I went inside, closed the door, and like a samurai, held the stick with both my hands. Looking around. Suddenly, the floorboards under my feet creaked, and I hid sharply behind the curtain. Silence. I looked around and walked on. Suddenly, I heard the sound of pots making noise, and something heavy falling down. Bam! Oh no, she's already fried Tony! Don't eat him, Mrs. Hardy! When I opened my eyes, there was a normal, non-fried Tony sitting on the floor, eating her chocolate butter loaf. He looked at me like a fool and then silently held out the sandwich he made and was like, "Do you want one? Are you out of your mind or something? Yeah. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here, you absolute freak." And then she turns around and there she is. That's what it's going to be.
"Old lady will be right back and cook us for dinner," I told him. Tony, finishing his sandwich, looked at me with food in his mouth and asked, "You mean this? This food is made of people?" I slowly nodded my head.
What? You're making people bread? Huh. People bread. Is it gluten-free? Like, could I try some? Or is there also flour mixed in? Just let me know the recipe.
We had gotten up from the floor, and then we heard the door open.
I knew she would be there.
"Run!" I whispered. Tony and I rushed to find a hiding place and hid under the table. Good thing there was a long tablecloth on it. The heavy footsteps could be heard next to us. I lifted the tablecloth a little and saw her pacing back and forth, and then was like, "What the hell is that?" She saw—
Excuse me? Did I just hear a curse word come from you? This is children's content. The hell?
uneaten bread and chocolate paste on the floor. What? Tony was shaking with fear. I was pointing my finger at him. Shh.
I was pointing my finger at him. Where is he? Shh. Are you pointing with one finger and then shh? Shh. That's cool.
Looks like there are rats in the house. Oh, how scary it was. I'll chase them out quickly now. She came out of the kitchen. This was our chance. We ran out from under the table and
She said that out loud? Looks like there's rats in the house. I think I'm going to go chase them out. She knows you're there. If an old lady goes, there's rats in my house, I'm going to go chase them out. Looks under the tablecloth. Oh, there are the rats. No, she found you.
ran into the other room, getting into the living room and hiding behind a chair.
Wait, what, you went inside? I thought this was outside. Wait, what? What's the green?
The table and ran into the other room, getting into the living room and hiding behind a chair. Mrs. Hardy cleaned the kitchen and then started walking around the house with a broom. She was setting up traps. Seconds later, the door to the house was locked.
She was setting up traps? What kind of traps are you setting up by sweeping with a broom? I wouldn't know. I don't sweep. And then the door closed without her, enforcing it?
That was the end. I was already mentally saying goodbye to my family. I imagined Mrs. Hardy standing over my grave, eating a loaf and laughing.
Oh, a loaf of
gross.
you.
Then, the old woman picked up a stick and started hitting it at the furniture, chasing the rats away. She was already a couple of meters away, and then Tony couldn't help himself, and there was a long, prolonged the room.
Now this is my kind of content. And there was a long, prolonged. That was the most cartoony fart I've ever heard. Oh wait, this is a cartoon.
Reeked of chocolate paste fart. I glanced at Tony angrily, and he was sitting there, red in the face, going,
Yes, he is.
"Sorry, I ate too much." Mrs. Hardy sniffed and was like,
Everybody knows that it takes that long to digest food. I just ate 15 minutes ago, and now I'm farting out my food. This guy's intestinal tract is just like a line.
"No, you ate my bread. Get out, rats!" At which point, I grabbed a stick and ran out screaming at her. Mrs. Hardy screamed in surprise. Tony just started running around the room in circles and kept farting. I swung the stick at Mrs.
He just kept running around the room in circles farting. I literally couldn't stop. It was like chocolate rain, but with farts.
Hardy, closed my eyes in fear and hit her TV.
What the fuck are you doing? You closed your eyes in fear. You see a TV next to you. She's in front of you, and you go, no, don't hit the TV. You hit Miss Hardy right in the head. Yes, she was widowed, but you think that she's a cannibal.
It fell crashing to the floor, shattering. I made Tony yell and fart even more. While Mrs. Hardy was trying to get her bearings, I saw a narrow window open in the kitchen, grabbed Tony, and we ran through the window. He jumped over it, followed me.
Oh my god,
the
Tony's awesome. Tony hurdled a window? Holy shit.
It in my face from the excitement. I closed my eyes, and as I climbed over, I stuck my helmet right through the window. I tried to get free, but nothing came out. And then Mrs. Hardy came up to me and looked at me and was like,
"You can't take your head out of the helmet? Are you stupid?" Yeah, my head's stuck in the window. And also the helmet got bigger. The clip art has gotten bigger.
Well, who do we have here? The rat's name is Zoe, right? Come with me. She pulled me out of the window and tried to get me inside. At which point I screamed frantically, "I only ate your loaf once. Don't eat me. Eat Tony." For some reason, I farted out of fear too. Mrs. Hardy started laughing. I took advantage of that and ran home.
God, I hate that. I hate when cartoons are like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you," and they like have like a knife over them and they go, "You're about to die," and then the person under them's like, "What if 21?" And then the person goes and then they run away. That's not fair. That's not real life.
It took me a couple of minutes to get home, and I hid under the bed. I just dove in there and started crying. That's when my parents came in.
Your parents?
They were shocked. I tried to tell them, but all that came out was, "Mrs. Hardy almost ate me and Tony farted in my face. I'm stuck. Dad, your helmet's at the old lady's. I don't want to die."
We're like, I remember my first acid trip. It was a wild ride. I didn't expect you to be 11 when you had your first one, but it's okay. We're earthy, crunchy farmers.
A real tantrum. Just then, the bell rang in the house. My dad opened the door, and there was an old woman standing. "Get out of here, you cannibal," I yelled. But my parents reprimanded me. Anyway, it turned out that these rumors about the grandchildren were nonsense. They had just gone to see their parents. Mrs. Hardy was waiting for them to arrive and baked their favorite bread, which Tony and I ate. We also had to buy Mrs. Hardy a new television.
Yeah.
She wasn't as scary as everyone said, but we didn't steal any more bread from her.
Good.
That's the story from Zoe. If you liked the video, then please leave a like and comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe.
Now that's awesome. I really love that because it shows you the suggested content. Like, my parents didn't love me and I can literally eat anything. I relate. I don't really understand this. I love it though. I don't think that any of these are real. I have x-ray glasses. Well, I take it back. I know that they're not real. But that's okay, because this is something that I could watch for the rest of my life. Just like my psycho dad wants me to change my gender. Solid. Awesome. If you guys liked It Happens, then please subscribe to my channel. And if you don't believe it happened, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me. Also check out my clothing brand and Fun for people with chronic illness Never Stop. The links to both of those will be in the description below. I just released a new piece of merch, a little winter design, if you will. So please check that out. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.